At the start of March, both J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs predicted gold would soon hit $3,000 per ounce. By the middle of March, it had happened. Call the proud Americans of the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer 7 years in a row. Call 888-753-1647.
Welcome back, everybody. You know, as I look towards the future and having children, and I talk to so many young mothers out there, I am constantly hearing concerns about what vaccines are going to be jabbed into their babies. And this really wasn't that much of a question or a concern before COVID. Was it the COVID vaccine that caused everybody to question so much about the recommendations that they were getting? I think so, because I'm one of them. Joining us now to discuss that is world-renowned doctor and Chief Scientific Officer at the wellness company, Dr. Peter McCollough. Dr. McCollough, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
How do we reverse that trust trajectory? Because after COVID and after all we learned about the vaccines, it just tanked.
You're right. First and foremost, the COVID vaccines have to be pulled off the market. Parents now don't trust the entire schedule, and it wasn't a big issue a few years ago. Now there's, increasing rates of children not being vaccinated against preventable diseases. We see measles in the news. And, by the way, these trends are worldwide. They're not just U.S. The COVID vaccines have caused a massive loss of trust of the routine vaccine schedule.
Yeah, so remarkable. So I want to stay on that for a second because there's some new research out suggesting that flu vaccines, which we all kind of got used to taking, a lot of us did, they're maybe not nearly as effective as they were billed. That probably adds to the distrust, but tell us what we're learning from the science on this.
There was a randomized trial a few years ago showing that flu shots made it more likely that you would get the common cold. They kind of backfired. Like many, I took flu shots for over 40 years. And now data from Shretha and colleagues' Cleveland Clinic, 51,000 healthcare workers, they didn't benefit at all from the flu shot. In fact, it backfired. People were more likely to get sick. So, I think the influenza vaccine is going to really have a reduced and narrowed use for those who are at the greatest risk and can derive the benefit. It shouldn't be broadly applied in the population.
Dr. McCollough, I want to ask you about ivermectin because it was a huge conversation during COVID, something that has proven to be safe and effective for millions of people across the globe, and yet it was demonized by mainstream media. I'm reading some articles recently that it can be great for a parasite cleanse. Is that true?
Now, ivermectin is used to treat scabies and other parasites. So people who have traveled to regions where they could have ingested parasitic spores certainly can use it. It is safe. It's probably the safest drug we have as a generic drug on the market. It's widely used for SARS-CoV-2 infection. I've used all the drugs. I've used hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, Paxlovid, molnupiravir, and out of all of them, it's my determination that ivermectin is the most effective. Now some recent data of interest showing that ivermectin may have multiple anti-cancer properties. Clearly, it needs to move into large-scale trials because it's so safe and easily administered.
Amazing. And there's been so little incentive for the drug companies to do it because it's been out there so long. They don't make a lot of money on it.
So cheap.
Such a missed opportunity. So I want to talk a little bit about the tariff policies everyone's talking about, everyone's worried about, and the market bouncing around. Any danger that medical supplies and pharmaceuticals will become more expensive in the short term until this settles itself out?
Most countries are starting to genuflex at the tariffs and want to come to the table and discuss, except for China. China's the biggest supplier of drugs and the ingredients that go into drugs worldwide. Wellness company, we've taken many steps ahead of this with our own pharmacy distributions, our supplies. Certainly people can buy emergency kits and have the medications pre-prescribed ahead of time. That way, months down the road, they're not going to run short on an infection or need an antibiotic or another drug and not be able to get it.
Dr. McCollough, last year, Ozempic was all the rage for many Americans who had some pretty dramatic weight loss, but now we're also unfortunately learning about some of the pretty dire and long-lasting side effects like bone brittleness. But the wellness company has a new product called Drop that is something that can help tremendously in the direction of weight loss. Tell us about it.
Where this is going is away from the injections, as you point out, that can have serious side effects, to a much safer mode of administration, and that's oral drops. So retatrutide, which is in the formulation drop, is a triple acting semaglutide-like drug or Ozempic-like drug. It's very effective in terms of supporting patients during their journey with weight loss. It's self-administered, so it can be adjusted. It has really all the benefits of Ozempic without the side effects. And then people get away from these injections and the high cost. So look for Drop at the Wellness Company as a terrific offering for those who are working for support during weight loss.
Yeah, you've done so much for twc.health/justnews. You can get so many great discounts there, 10% off, because you're such a great partner. One last question, because it happened just a little while ago. Bobby Kennedy continuing to make changes in the health world. Today, he said he will ask the CDC in the next couple of days to stop its recommendation that fluoride be inserted into public drinking water. Your thoughts on where that takes us?
Multiple studies show high fluoride concentrations in water linked to lower IQ scores in children. Now, a whole bevy of studies have been reported. Fortunately, most water supply sources in the United States are well below levels of concern. Where I am in Dallas, I checked, we're well below any thresholds of concern. Mm-hmm. But, fluoride was added to the water years ago because it had about a 25% reduction in dental caries. Now, with modern dental care, an analysis done by the Cochrane Group shows only about a 6% benefit of fluoride in the water. So many people feel, as Kennedy does, why risk it? The era for water fluoridation is over with, and I think we'll all be better off. There is some baseline fluoride in all groundwater, but we don't need to add any more to it.
Yeah, and we've had dentists on the show who talk about how applied topically, fluoride is better for you anyway. It actually does the anti-cavity better than ingesting it. Everybody, go to twc.health/justnews. Again, you're going to get a 10% discount on all of those amazing products, especially like the ones that we just described. Oh, absolutely, drop. Wow. Dr. Peter McCollough, always a joy having you with us. Everybody, again, go to twc.health/justnews and get that 10% discount.